Welcome back to Theology 101. My name is Peter Van Cleek. Today we're going to talk about the ontological argument. This argument is not used very much anymore. I think that if you read Alvin Plantinga's a couple dozen or so arguments for the existence of God, I think that's what it's called. I think he does postulate something like the ontological argument there, but it really has been shot down since I'd say maybe the time of Kant and perhaps before. We don't usually use this argument anymore, but I think it's a really fun argument, and so I'm going to share it here on the channel. We'll talk about a little bit, perhaps weaknesses that it has. So the ontological argument goes like this. The first premise is, God is a being that than which none greater can be conceived. All right, so this has to be a being that you cannot conceive of a being any greater. It cannot be thought of any greater than this being. And if you could think of a greater being, well, then that thing is God. A being that is this kind of being, that you cannot conceive a greater than, all right, must exist. Because things that exist are greater than things that don't exist. Therefore, God must exist. So what you have is a being that is greater than any other being that could be conceived. But the greatest of all beings that could be conceived must exist. Therefore, God exists. First of all, the argument, of course, is very, to even think about, like, what are you going to do with how you think about that? Like, what makes your mind worthy of being able to say, well, whatever I can conceive of is what counts as the greatest conceivable being? You often run into this objection. The objection is, well, what if I conceive of the greatest conceivable pizza or the greatest conceivable island? If you can conceive of either of these, right, the greatest conceivable pizza or the greatest conceivable island, then perhaps that is the greatest conceivable being. And these objections, they get play when you read critiques of the ontological argument. I just think that they fall short of the argument itself. It is not that you could find the greatest conceivable island or pizza. It is to conceive of the greatest conceivable being, which if we were, the argument that I would make is that the greatest conceivable being, I don't think can be physical. In fact, we would have to posit a being that is something like pure actuality. Something that does not have potential. It possesses the totality of its being at any given moment. Nothing flows away from it and nothing flows to it. Pizzas have to be made. Islands are formed from the tide that rolls in and out on the island changes the being of this island, if it's really an island. So these kinds of things would not work. You have to conceive of a being that would not be physical. It would be immaterial, and it would be a being that was pure actuality, having no potential. And then I think we begin at least to be on the road to the greatest conceivable being. I think probably the last point I would want to make is it can be kind of complex. I'd say of all the arguments for the existence of God, when I was going through seminary, this one resonated with me the least, trying to nail down what exactly was trying to be proved here. But in the end, I still think it's kind of fun, the way that it's argued. And whether you like it or not, I'm not saying that it can stand on its own, but I am saying that it definitely has a very cool element about it. So tell me what you think about it in a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And once again, my name is Peter Van Cleek, and I'll talk to you guys later. So if you like this video, maybe you'd like some others. Take a look around.